Good evening. This is the Athens City Shade Tree Commission meeting for February the 12th, 2015. We have no Title 33 right-of-way public land issues. We have one landscape ordinance issue, and that is for the Jackie O's Brewery addition. And I gather one of you two gentlemen is going to come up and introduce yourself at the podium over there and explain what it is you'd like us to do.
Got another visitor. Hi, my name's Art Ostrich, 164 Morris Avenue. And we're working on putting an expansion into our brewery down at 25 Campbell Street. And I was told that we need to work with you guys to figure out what kind of landscaping and or trees got to get put in on that property. According to Mr. Paskey down at the code office, he said something about 20 trees would need to go in, and we added those to the plans that I think you guys have on the
south side.
Thank you, sir. On the south side, I believe there are 16 of them on the south side there, mm-hmm. And then you can see there's circles on the north side that are outside of our patio. I believe there are 12 of them there. We were going to, because there's a lot of macadam or concrete all around us on that front side there that faces Stimson Avenue. We were hoping to do maybe use some of the bourbon barrels that we have all over the place, including in our logo, and maybe doing some grasses or something on the front there in those barrels, either on our patio or in front of that patio that's down there. And I just was kind of curious, looking for some guidance on what you guys would like to see done there.
Okay. Well, the Tree Commission, the Shade Tree Commission, is really here to see that shade trees are planted. Title 37 specifies that for a site of this size, which is apparently 34,000 square feet, you would need to plant 20 large shade trees.
Okay.
When I look at the plan, I don't know if many of my colleagues have got it, but all I've got is one copy, I'm afraid, with me tonight. What I see are those 16 trees that you mentioned on the south side of the property, but I also see potential for planting more large shade trees on this site, and so we would go with more large shade trees. The small decorative trees or plantings at the front, that's fine by us, but we're not mm-hmm. here to really tell you how to do that part of it at all.
Okay.
The only other concern we've got is that the landscape ordinance requires buffering between properties unless the adjacent property owners agree with you that buffering is not required. For example, between residences, where one's a commercial residence, the other one's a private one, it may well be the private property owner would want to have some buffering to stop cars and lights and so on if there's mm-hmm. parking adjacent to their property. I can see from this it looks like there's commercial business on one side of Usonic and I think a veterans organisation on the other side. If they're agreeable, and all you've got to do is get a letter from them saying that they're agreeable, you won't need any buffering. Mm-hmm. But this is certainly something that is missing at the moment from that plan.
Okay.
In addition to the 4 large shade trees.
Right. I did have a question. On the Sonic side, mm-hmm. there's a strip of grass in between the two of us, 4-6 feet wide, something to that nature. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, you would like to see shade trees in between there, so we could put them there as well.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I would kind of like that too.
Yeah. It would. I think it would frame the property better if you brought trees down the sides there.
Uh-huh.
Is that on your property?
I'll have to double check, and I'll talk to David Moran.
Would it matter if it's on their property or not, if the adjacent property owner agreed to put them there?
It would be unusual.
Okay. I'm just trying to make it clear. So it probably is pretty important that it be his property.
It should be. It should be on their property. I mean, occasionally we will give permission for planting on a right-of-way. So if that happened to be a public easement of some sort, then we could give permission for you to plant on there.
Okay.
But we can't give you permission to go planting on somebody else's property.
Sure.
And really, it doesn't.
Why not?
You wouldn't be in compliance with the ordinance if you did anyway. The other observation I make is, just for others who maybe haven't been down to the site, on the north side, the piece where he's talking about the decorative stuff, there are high voltage cables over that section, and so he couldn't plant large shade trees on that side of the property anyway. So the summary is we need 20 large shade trees. We're in the process. I can give you one of these copies tonight, which is going to be approved, I hope, in March. It's basically the same as the current one that lists the sort of trees that we like to see planted.
Yeah.
What you need to do is work with a landscaper, and we recommend local ones rather than distant ones, because they know they will know what will survive. As long as it comes from our list of large shade trees, we're happy for whatever you plant. Basically, we would recommend, if you're going to plant 20 trees, you try and avoid planting one species, because the risk there is that if they get a disease, they're all going to be wiped out in one go. That, I think, is basically what the landscape ordinance says about a property like this. Have other people got questions?
I do not.
Okay.
Is there a dumpster that needs to be?
Yes, landscape ordinance requires dumpsters to be screened. Now, John Patsky usually deals with that with the property owner.
Yeah, and they're on the plans, not on that little piece of paper that you've got there.
Yeah.
Well, it might be on there, but you might not be able to see it on there. But we will. It's all covered and with doors on the dumpster area.
Yeah. That's another piece that comes into the landscape ordinance. But again, John Patsky usually deals with that with the owners.
Yeah, he talked about it.
So, do you have any other questions for us?
Well, basically, so if I figure out if that little strip is on our property, then I think it would look nice to put some out there. Anyways, would those be part of the 16 or part of the 20 that I'm required to have?
If they're on your property, I mean, for instance, one of the things I thought of when I was looking at that, all you've got to do is move those the positions for the cars back slightly, and you've got the space there at that point. I couldn't tell exactly where the property line was.
Right, we're working through that.
But certainly on the west side of the property, it looked like you could probably plant trees on that side.
Yeah, there's definitely space over there to go between us and fence.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the grasses, that's up to me if I want to do those, but those wouldn't
we
fall
occasionally
within.
make observations to help people pick things that are deer-proof, because you're obviously in an area where deer will be around.
Yeah, we see them all the time.
And again, if you talk to a local landscaper, they should be able to tell you what is suitable in terms of deer-proof plantings down there.
And
So
having greenery in the front there will really be an asset.
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. So, I think that's it. I will write this up unless there's anything else the tree commissioners want me to put in there, and give this to John Patsky, and then he'll just expect you to comply.
No problem.
And the ordinance is written for you to decide where you want to plant the trees. A lot of people seem to think we want to tell people where to put trees. No, we want you to have the freedom to plant them wherever it suits you on this property, within the constraints that we've got 30 feet between each tree. Basically.
30 feet between each tree?
That's the what is laid down in Title 37.
That's essentially what you need for a large shade tree.
Yeah.
To make it
so it can thrive.
To thrive and develop the way. Yeah.
It's just kind of a bummer because you're not going to see those trees.
Oh, when they get big, you will.
Maybe.
Be a little forest in the back there.
Yeah, well, that'd be great. Right?
Yeah.
And hopefully the people in that garden at the back there, because I've been in that part there. Hopefully they'll get some benefit and some visual experience of the trees back there.
Yeah, perfect.
And that's why it'll be nice if on either side by Sonic or Ambets,
that's
two trees, and that'll be phenomenal.
Yeah, that'd be great. I agree.
And we'll all benefit from your trees. We all share the benefits of the oxygen, the carbon
keeping the temperature
holding,
down.
reducing the temperature.
Oh, I'm all about it.
Yeah. So we appreciate you coming in and
in fact, you've chosen the right side to put them on, as far as we're concerned, because it really does help to keep the heat down on that building by putting them on the south side.
Right. Good.
Doing a great job with the project too so far.
Thanks, John.
The building and the property.
Okay, so we'll write it up and give it to John Patsky.
Okay, and I could take a list of the
Yeah,
trees with me?
I've got a spare copy here you can have. As I say, it's going to get approved, I think, in March. I don't think there'll be anything that will be taken off. There may be some more additions to it as well.
Great. Well, thanks for your time, guys.
Okay.
You bet.
Right.
See ya.
Thank you. Okay, and speaking of our tree list, I handed out copies of the tree list that is basically the one that we approved in 2005 with a few additions. I think it's formatted a little bit easier now, so that there's a clear distinction between the medium and the smalls. It was a little bit difficult to see exactly what was there. I have put footnotes for fall colour, whether it's a flowering tree, and if we think it's only suitable for large areas. We could have additional footnotes. We can certainly add more trees. I don't think there's any tree on here we would take exception to.
There's one that I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Maybe we want to leave it on. But I was wondering about the calorie pear, because it has become invasive, and I believe that some of the new selections that do not break apart as badly are more susceptible to the, what is that pear trees get?
Fire blight.
Yeah, fire blight. And I think that there is a problem also that people want to plant it and they read about how tall it gets and they think that they can count it as a large tree.
Yeah, I share your concerns, Emily. What I'd like people to think is to sort of think about this one, because the idea is that we'll discuss it tonight, and then
yes,
at our next meeting we'll approve the final list. But I certainly have a question mark against that one.
Well, it can be a beautiful tree,
yep.
and I'm sure people want to plant it, and this does not keep people from planting it on their private property, but they can't.
Yeah, we wouldn't recommend it for a landscape project.
No.
Yeah. One thing I would like to do, because this is taking one of our flowering trees away, if people can come up with another flowering tree to try and replace it with. I'm not saying that that's a rule we should always follow, but I think it certainly it would help stimulate some thoughts as to what can be added to this list.
I wonder, just as a thought, if we maybe had a couple of local landscapers or local nurseries take a look at this and see if there's anything.
Yep, that'd be a good idea.
That they would recommend.
Yes, I'll see what we can do. I'll get Mason and maybe Rudy Bongatel to comment on them.
It's like two would be good.
Yeah.
Also, David, I noticed that bur oak is listed twice.
Yes.
Under the large shade tree.
I caught one of those dual listings. I didn't catch that one. Okay, thank you.
Is it correct that we've left sweet gum out of this?
Is it just with one
Or did I not find it?
I
Just want to confirm.
I don't know. They're ordered by Latin name. Now, what's the sweet gum's Latin name?
Liquid amber.
Liquid amber.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
I couldn't make that up.
It should be on. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tree that should.
Yeah. These are trees that we don't really have any major objections to in terms of invasive nature or promoting diseases and so on. It's up to people to decide if they want to live with the particular nature of the tree. You can think of various objections to all sorts of trees that are on this list, but we're trying to avoid invasive trees, diseases, or trees that will easily get disease, such as the ash tree at the moment. So obviously the ash tree was not on the 2005 list, and it's not on this list either.
Could somebody forward that to me? I haven't seen that one.
You have a copy?
I'm wondering if Almer Mackey and Smokebush are on it.
I think they are.
I just saw smoke bush.
Yeah, those could nicely take the place of pear, I think. Perhaps.
Yeah, smoke tree, Catinus, is that the one you were worried about? Yeah. I'll put a question mark against that one. Again, it's one that is a colourful tree, and so again, if we can find something else to replace it with, that will be good.
Oh, no, it's a good tree. I'm saying Katana should be on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's a great, yeah, it's
Okay.
such a
I
tough.
thought there was one of them that we didn't like. Isn't there one of the
Well, there's some cultivated varieties that maybe are,
what am I thinking of? It's not. Maybe it isn't Catinus.
yeah, they're pretty good. They're a tough tree. They can be pruned a lot. I've seen some that are old, and they do get real tree-like when they're old. You know,
Yeah.
they have a shrubby appearance when they're young, but they're quite beautiful when they're older.
Anyway, if there's anything you'd like us to add or subtract, Dan, please let us know.
That's great.
As I say, we'll be looking at this list over the next month and then coming up with a final version of it, hopefully the next meeting. Yes, Emily?
The Japanese pagoda tree is listed under both the large and the medium.
Oh.
And it should be only under the large, I believe.
So we think that one should be a large only.
And I have checked
Twice
out.
under medium.
Really?
We really like that tree.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
listed 3 times on the list.
There you go. I've looked at this
Giving
list
you
and
two
I had
chances.
somebody else look at the list, and we didn't spot any of these duplicates. We found other ones.
Is persimmon a tree we wouldn't recommend?
There are, persimmon are male and female, and so I've seen male persimmons in parking lots in Columbus.
Yeah, they're a beautiful
We're not
park.
confining this to parking lots. This is when you're trying to meet the
Oh.
landscape ordinance. And,
Yeah, if they
I
could-
mean,
Okay, well, it's not on there. I was just curious.
If you look at the property
very
that we were
native.
just talking about, they've got a large area where people are not going to be walking, they're not parking
Yeah.
cars underneath these trees, so
Yeah.
they could take almost any tree at that
Well,
point.
I'd recommend that persimmon and pawpaw be included then. They're harder to find, but really, persimmon thrives in really bad soil. So often, if you can get them established, they could be a really good urban tree.
That would be a
And
medium,
they're
I would
upright.
assume, right?
Yeah, they're
Medium.
really well behaved. They're not going to they're not going to be poking people in the eyes and
But
stuff.
do they, pawpaws often don't do that well in full sun, do they?
Yeah, pawpaws are different. The persimmon are the tough ones if you can get them
Okay, they
established.
can do all right in full
Paw,
sun.
I've seen them in full sun, but again, it's all about that transplant. So I mean, they're a harder. You might asterisk and say harder to grow, or I don't know.
What about the pawpaws sending out a lot of roots and then
Plantations.
shoots coming up?
Hey, that's future
Progressive people.
progressive thinking. They usually don't do that until they start to really stress. A lot of trees will sprout. Kentucky coffee tree will do that.
Well,
Do it in the
the
woods.
pawpaws in the woods behind my house all seem to be coming from one root source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. In the urban environment where they're mowed, it's
Okay,
usually not
okay.
an issue. They're really cool looking and they're full sun. They're really thick. They have a lot of leaves. They look really different.
Yeah, and the large leaves are very attractive.
We are like the pawpaw capital or something of the state, right? We should probably allow them to be planted.
Okay. Anyway, thoughts about other trees to add or subtract
Well,
would be appreciated.
I had some thoughts about some of the trees listed as medium trees.
Okay.
A lot of those actually will become larger trees. And I'm also concerned that if we list them as medium and people find that they will grow to 60 feet, they'll want to plant them as large shade trees. And I was checking the size on a lot of these, and the flowering pear is listed as growing to 40 to 50 feet. And let's see, I'm having trouble reading these notes quickly. The river birch, 40 to 90 feet by one reference, 40 to 50 by another. American yellowwood, 40 to 50 by two references. The hardy rubber tree, 40 to 60.
Emily, can I address that? If you recall the street tree fact sheet books that, remember, were given out by the what was it, the Pennsylvania Extension Office?
That was one of the references I used in checking these, that and Durr's manual.
Well, if you recall, what we've kind of adopted is that it's what are they going to do in 30 years, because our landscapes are so temporary.
But then what do we do when, well, this wouldn't matter for people's home landscapes, but what do we do when they're wanting to find trees that they can use as large shade trees, and they find on the internet that a certain tree will grow to a large shade tree?
Well, we say that our approved list has these trees is doing in this area only 30 to 45 feet in 30 years, based on expert advice.
There's a river birch in front of our office was planted in 1956, actually 2 of them. And they are cool trees. You won't even know if you drive by them. You'll see the willow oaks that the city planted, but in between there's one American elm, and then there's these 2 river birches, and they're maybe at best 50 feet. And then I think of the hardy rubber trees that Marietta has had. They have been in the ground probably 30, maybe 40 years, and they're maybe not even 30 feet. So I think a lot of it's like site related. Our soils are so poor here. Athens has clay and.
I guess what I'm thinking, should we raise the size of the trees for the medium trees so that people cannot expect to plant some of these trees that usually are medium size as large shade trees?
Well,
I think what David is saying is that they have to go by our definition, not what it says on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be
okay. We had one case of this, and I thought it was a little sad that they had worked so hard to find the trees that they could use, and then we were saying that we didn't consider them large shade trees, even though they had found on the internet that they would grow that tall.
It might be interesting to put on here that a medium tree in our capacity required 2 of them equal a large shade tree. Maybe to spell that out on this list.
That's a good idea.
And that small 3 trees equal 1 large shade tree. Because I see what you're saying.
But I think we should say that they have to use our list and our definitions.
Not under medium.
When I look at the medium list and I kind of go through all the trees that I know, I can't think of one that I've ever seen above 45 feet, except for the Japanese. You're right about the Japanese pagoda. But I've seen those 80 foot tall.
But those were listed as large shade trees also.
Yeah. But the other ones really, I mean, if you go to.
Well, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I was just trying to discourage people from using some of these medium trees as large shade trees by changing our definition of the height of these. But I mean, that's up to the.
And before they plant these trees, unless they exist on the site, I guess. But before they plant these trees, they would have to come to the Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah.
And and this document would be made available to them. And if we saw trees on there that we considered medium trees, we would point them out, even though they were thinking they were large. I mean, I don't think that they really go to a great deal of expense or have a lot of time lost by in the process,
Okay. So, as I say, if there are ideas for ones to delete or ones to add, let me know, and I'll contact 2 local nurseries and see what they say about the list in terms of any additions that they would like to see put on here. Because I'd like to see more rather than less. Certainly, we get often asked for flowering trees, trees with colour for fall and so on. As I said, this is not just for street trees or parking lot trees. This is for trees that would have to be planted under Title 37, which can be around motels and the back of breweries and all sorts of places.
Well, I'm curious about the list of the small trees, because there are quite a few cherries I see on here. And are those strictly ornamental cherries or are those edible cherries? Because I'm always in favor of seeing more I like the idea of persimmon and pawpaw. I'd love to see more edible fruit trees
That's
out
so
there.
cool. I thought you were going somewhere else just because of everything else I deal with in all the other towns. Like, no,
Yeah,
tell me
that's
fruit.
actually a good idea. I mean, it's
Yep.
a similar size for
Oh, yeah.
a fruit cherry and an ornamental.
Yeah.
So we should separate and
Yeah.
specify for.
The only thing I'd say about that is that you need to be careful with modern fruit trees in that they tend to be grown on dwarfing stock, and so they don't even qualify as small trees. Some of them. So
And they tend to be a little short-lived compared to the cherries mentioned on here are ornamentals. They're not fruiting trees. I mean, they have fruit, but it's more for the birds. Yeah, like if we open it up to fruit trees, it is. I mean, we should, you could say maybe,
again,
fruit trees.
we're talking about the trees that are going to be planted on somebody else's property as part of a compliance with Title 37. I have no problems in them planting fruit trees.
You're talking about longevity, though. That a fruit cherry has a shorter lifespan than an ornamental. Yes.
They can be kind of disease prone, and it's true of like the apples and maybe not the pears. They're pretty tough, but yeah, I mean, I think it'd be worthwhile to say, fruit trees appropriate, or mention, because yeah, it is in.
Even mention a couple appropriate species
Yeah.
in here that would thrive here.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find something that.
And then I'm not very well informed about a lot of these ornamental species, but I do know that some, like the Bradford pear, I believe, are exceedingly stinky and allergen full. In the springtime, aren't they the ones that fill the air with all the pollen and?
Well, we live in a really we live in one of the most biologically diverse places in the world, so there's going to be pollen whether we planted a tree or not. But the pears are known to have a smell. It's usually about 2 weeks out of the year. It tends to bother some people more than others.
I guess it's just a perception coming from a neighborhood where I think we have a high concentration of those decorative fruit trees.
Yeah.
That they do seem to contribute a great deal to allergy issues, and maybe because I'm more of a fan of the edible fruit trees.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, that could be a reason to remove the calorie pear from the list.
Well, edible fruit trees have a lot of pollen. I mean, they should have about the same amount, right?
I think one of the arguments about the pollen is that so much of the modern planting in urban areas across the United States is males, male
Right.
cultivars.
And shrubs.
And so we're creating this very artificial ecosystem that's kind of top heavy. I think I've heard this argument a lot in Athens. I think the surrounding woods is what's really contributing to the pollen, and it's a fact of life here. From the grasses to the trees to the every green plant, pretty much.
Right,
Not everyone, but.
so it's irrational of me to blame the Bradford pear.
Well, they're a good target for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, we haven't encouraged them in a while because of the breakage. There's been a lot of. They're known for
I
limb
think
breakage.
the best argument for getting the pear off the list is the fact that it is invasive. And I would not be surprised if they become not allowed to be planted, in our lifetime. They've really, if you look out the Nomo area out on along the Hocking River, where they have the fireworks set up and all that. And it's a really great nature area. We planted all these different species of trees. The tree that's thriving, calorie pear volunteers. And what's great about them is the deer can push on them and eat on them, and they just sprout more. So probably a tree to consider taking off the list eventually.
Yeah, that's not a bad
The other thing that I know that we don't have on here are evergreens. And again, that's something we have encouraged people to think about. We certainly allowed people to plant evergreens. I know they don't tend to produce a lot of shade.
No, they're not shade trees.
But they, except when you look at the white pines at the West State Street fields. Again, I would think you classify them in with the mediums, probably. Although I do notice we've got bald cypress on here, and that's hardly a shade tree. It's a very tall, elegant tree.
Yes, they're lovely,
I
but
quite like it.
they just don't have that same
Well, they don't have a canopy.
No canopy.
Right, they don't provide a canopy.
Yeah.
It's
But it
not
was
a bad
interesting.
idea to broaden the list, though, for those places where they might be appropriate.
It was interesting with the Fairfield Inn, they have a franchise requirement to plant a certain percentage of evergreens to make it look good year-round. So it was interesting that conflicted a little bit with our list. 'Cause they
And
have
that
to
can
be
really
as
up
well.
your pollen count too. I mean, if it gets too low, conifers will wing it.
But I think that they could have a lot of evergreen shrubs.
Yes.
I don't think it necessarily had to be trees.
Yeah. But well, then again, it might be suitable for us to list some evergreens amongst the small ones then, as being a possible one to fill in, because there are properties where you really have to plant the small trees because of the power lines. Okay, so I think we'll move on. And so we'll go through this again at the next meeting, and then hopefully we can approve our list. Ron,
David.
your report.
All right. Okay. I attended the Ohio Tree Care Conference this past weekend in Dayton. A lot of good information there. I won't give you a full report on all the seminars. Ann did speak to her on the spot, but I did not get to attend Ann's session.
Yeah, right.
Next year's will be in Sandusky, so if anybody wants to plan, it'll be at the Kalahari, right? Fun trip. So
Did
there
you
you
learn
go.
anything about crown lifting of trees?
No, there weren't any seminars on that.
That's one thing that I'd certainly encourage us to be thinking about, because we're now getting to a point where we've got a lot of small trees that were planted 10, 15 years ago, and they could do with a little bit of lifting now to get them above above people's heads and really moving upwards along the streets.
And winter's the time to do it, and do it while they're young,
Yes. Yeah.
and a little bit at a time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Less than a third.
What's that?
Less than a third.
Less than a third.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Two-thirds canopy, one-third trunk.
An interesting conversation that we did have was actually it was the keynote speaker was talking about the effects of wind on growth of trees and how to develop your landscape around that. So if you're going to have some type of landscaping in a area where there are wind tunnels, like Court Street, placing trees strategically and the right species so that they are not susceptible to the wind and things like that. So there were some neat tidbits that came out at the conference. So anyway, the big thing that I wanted to talk about was the Tree City USA Awards that we are planning on hosting. We're looking at a mid-April to late April date, and Ann and Jennifer and I, we met to start initial discussions of what we want to do. I know that we have a subcommittee built for this, and that we'll call that together when I get some information. But I think what we want to try to do is host this at the Ridges and make it a full-day program where we are discussing different types of things throughout the day, throughout the morning, in terms of maybe a couple presenters, do some presentations, maybe do something on the city of Athens in terms of what our tree program looks like, and then have a lunch that's catered by a local catering company. If we have it at the Ridges, we may not be able to do that. It might be a requirement to have a higher university cater it, but we'll see.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
No, it's not. It just might limit our. I don't know if it'll limit our menu or not. But no, it's not a bad thing. But after that is over, the lunch is over, we were thinking about having a tour of the Ridges, maybe looking at some of the forests up there, some of the other topography, the cemeteries, the ponds, things like that, maybe taking a walk on a nature trail, something like that, something to do, something active so that people can see our
City
our
parkland up
landscape.
there that could do with inspecting, I guess.
Excuse me?
The city parkland
Yeah.
could do with an inspection.
Absolutely, you know, and I think it would be good because if we have it at the ridges, we aren't going to be transporting people to and from a spot. You know, that's historically been the point where you lose people after lunch and they have to go somewhere, they're gone. So if we have something at the place that we're having the tour, we will still lose some people, but we're probably not going to lose the vast majority of them.
You won't. If they keep
So-
them there and they get to tour the ridges.
I
you
think
won't
that
lose
will keep
anybody.
people, I really do
That's a
think
good
that that
idea.
would be a good thing to keep people around.
Yeah,
So
you
we're
do-
looking at,
You serve dessert at some point.
exactly, you have to walk to your dessert somewhere in the ridge.
We've never had a
Geocaching.
problem with people leaving, except for when it's to get in the car to go somewhere, like afterwards. I think that's where you lose people.
Yeah, so when we hosted it a few years ago, and I can't remember what year that was, but we did a morning session. We had a couple of presenters, and then we did the Tree City USA Awards over lunch, and then people were out of here by around noon. I mean, they were on their way back to their cities. I'd like to keep people around until 2, 3 o'clock. You know, do a tour of the Ridges ground. I think that would be exciting, especially if we can line up people that really know the ridges to do the tour. Then
There's
maybe
some
do a couple
amazing
of
trees.
maybe do a couple buildings even. Do a building or two, and then go look at the trees.
That will get them. There's such lore associated with the buildings.
Exactly.
And somebody like we talked about George Eberts, who, you know, I mean, not to highlight the haunted propaganda that goes along with that, but that's what people from other communities know about Athens, and so they'll be very interested in that.
I mean, we're looking
There's
at an
some
audience.
large examples of certain species
Yeah.
that are, aren't there a couple of
The
champions
sweet
up there?
gum, yes, there's silver firs, which are
Uh-huh.
national champions.
Yeah.
There was the national champion sassafras. I don't know if it's still there. It might be gone now, but also the sweet gums.
Yeah.
We in honor of the sweet gums. they're magnificent there.
You know, it would be nice to have somebody speak, maybe just for like 10 minutes, about the original landscaping and what was included in there, and just, you can summarize in a few minutes the philosophy behind having those beautiful grounds and beautiful buildings, which was, to me, quite fascinating.
Yeah, wasn't it a protege of Frederick Law Olmsted, I think, that designed that? Or
I think so.
yeah, and there's people around here that have that expertise, and I definitely think that should be part of it.
So if you look at the book that was written about, that really tells you a lot in there.
Okay. The woman-
Asylum on the Hill, I think.
Yeah, would she
Yeah.
be a speaker, perhaps? Does she live in Athens?
She
Catherine
might.
Ziff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she lives in Athens.
She's spoken quite a bit on it, so
Yeah.
There we go.
I think, you know, with a certain amount of guidance as to how long and what it should, you know, entail.
I mean, maybe that could be one of our morning presenters where they can have 45 minutes to an hour.
Get people revved up to go out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Good idea. That's awesome. Oh, I'm excited. Well, I think, you know, right now I'm sweating a date because people are already asking me, and it's
Yeah.
such a busy time of year that if we want to pull in the mayors and the important people from the communities around here, you know, they need to have that date soon.
What day in the week is a good day for something?
Whatever day OU will have us.
Pretty much, we're looking at 3 spots at the Ridges. We're looking at the auditorium, which might be a little bit big,
Oh, it's or small.
but it might also not. I mean, it depends on how many people we get there, and if anybody wants to put up some presentations or tables or whatnot, you might be able to utilize that space. We were also thinking about what is it, in the Kennedy Museum, is it the Lynn Center? The Lynn Room?
Where there?
It's in the Kennedy Museum.
I know, but where in there is there space? Unless you do it among the exhibits, but.
I think there's a room called the Lynn Room. Are you familiar with it, John, by
Well, it's
chance?
Lynn Hall.
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's a space available in that room that would seat so many people. I don't know how many. And then also the Voinovich School has the large conference room in there
Okay.
too. So those are the choices, and I'm sure it'll come down to how much it's going to cost,
Yeah.
because we want to keep the price tag, you know, $20 to $25 per person, so that it's not breaking the bank.
The auditorium is lovely, but it can be a little expensive.
Yeah, that's what we're worried about. So
But
I
you
mean,
just have to
we'll
find
work
out.
something
Yeah.
out, we'll try.
Okay, sure.
So if that sounds good to the commission, I think that we'll move forward and try and get it up there.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yep.
And I have two more things. One I'm really excited about. We have the Hope property that we built the bike path over, the extension across the old bike path bridge, the railroad bridge. Well, part of that grant that we received in terms of extending the bike path to go towards Columbus Road is building I don't want to call it wetland, but kind of a nature preserve where we can have people using that land for educational purposes. So what we are trying to pull together is having a day in April, and I've already started the groundwork for this, is planting 8,000 saplings through that piece of land. So I think that's pretty cool.
That could be your Arbor Day celebration.
Or Earth Day.
Yeah, well, but to be a Tree City USA, you have to celebrate Arbor Day. So Arbor/Earth.
Yeah, so and that could be. Maybe we would do it on Arbor Day.
Well, you can make it any day you want.
Yeah.
But, you know.
The last couple of years we've done it in October. So 8,000 saplings. I don't know exactly what all species we're getting in that 8,000,
But ones that like to have their feet in water at least
Mhm.
part of the time.
Yes.
We'll tolerate it.
Yes. And it'll be usable space. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but there's been talks of maybe like a Frisbee golf course there or something of that nature where people can have some recreational value, and then there would be some types of markers for what's planted so that people know what's going on there. So it's a pretty neat project.
Nurseries, if you want it, if you remind me.
Okay.
It's, like Pennsylvania and
Okay.
West Virginia and everything.
And the other thing that I had is Athens Beautification Day is going to be on April 19th. So there's an opportunity there to, one of the big things I want to do is have a group mulch all the street trees on Court Street during that time, figuring out the logistics of that. But also we can get groups together that can do some planting, do some basic pruning. We can utilize that group pretty well. So
Is that April 19th, you said?
April 19th, yes.
Is that a Sunday?
It is a Sunday.
So you've got to fit in Arbor Day, Beautification Day. Was there something else in there you were trying
Tree
to do?
City.
Oh,
Tree
planting these 8,000 saplings. Okay. You're going to have a busy time,
The rest of
aren't
the
you?
winter, David.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Ron?
Ron, are you still looking at Arbor Day to be on actual Arbor Day and possibly in the Morrison Elementary area? Or
As of now, yes.
Yes. Have you contacted the?
I'm not.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Is that going to be in the spring? Or-
Yes, April
April
24th.
24th.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I
wow. You
believe.
are going to be busy. Okay.
Yeah, this is why we start running out of dates in April to do things. 'Cause,
So if we try to have the Tree City USA in the week starting the 13th, that would be, that at least would be ahead of the Arbor Day and the Beautification Day.
Now, and if you all recall, I've been having it in March, actually, the last several years, because that's a chance to be, because April is such a busy time for everyone. Plus, it gets all the communities their awards, for their local Arbor Day programs. The downside of that is that we don't have much time. I mean, I really normally have the date already. I usually have the date by the first of the year, so if we're going to do it earlier, we just need.
And we need to find out, and if
Yeah.
the Ridges, if we don't find out, we won't do it at the Ridges. We'll have it somewhere else.
We can
need
always
to pick
do it
a
at
date.
my office as a last resort, but it's so unappealing compared to the Ridges.
Exactly.
It's just-
We're kind of throwing all of our I don't even know the phrase, pennies in one hat, whatever that is. But anyway, hoping that we're going to make this happen. If not,
The Ridges
we'll
is a
adjust
great
to it.
idea.
And
It is. It's
Yeah,
such a
it-
cool thing.
it's-
another thing we could do is the dairy barn. We can talk to people there, and we'd still be able to tour some of the Ridges property.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
So.
in terms of dates, can any of these things leak into May? Any of them that would?
Maybe the planting 8,000 saplings, but May's getting a little late to
Yeah,
plant, so
yeah.
Yeah, they need, that should be
Like-
March, really. I mean,
we can't do it. We won't be able to get it in March.
just the volunteers and all.
Well, yeah, getting everything planned out.
8,000, so I usually say the average volunteer can plant 100 trees and not want to kill you afterwards. So maybe you should make it 4,000 trees and do 4,000 next year. And then that way too, if there's a giant drought, remember our 3,000 planting?
I do.
And I cry every time I drive. Luckily now there's.
It's not a bad idea, Ann. I can
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Or even do, 2,000.
2,000, yeah. So plant those over a period of time. Plant over a period of time.
And then the ones that just sort of say, I am not happy here, then we can look at other species.
Yeah. Well, and what'll happen
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
nature will
We'll
decide
leave
what should grow there. Because
Exactly.
these are no-mow areas, right?
Calorie pair.
Well,
You get some calorie pair, but black locust and hawthorn, and
The-
there's some good things too.
the recreational purpose stuff will be mowed.
So seedlings around the mowed area.
We will have to plan that out so that we don't mow it.
Yeah,
We'll
do
figure
clusters
that
and
out.
stuff,
Yeah, cluster
yeah.
it. So.
Any other questions for Ron?
I just wish you had some ideas about what to do with trees, Ron. I mean,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have more ideas. I'll save that for next month.
exciting.
I don't have anything under the maintenance of the tree canopy. Is there any other business that we want to deal with tonight?
There's something that I would like to suggest.
Yep.
There was a lot of concern recently about a tree that was being cut down, and there were some emails going around, a suggestion that maybe we should have some program of legacy trees, and they were also suggesting maybe the city should find people who cut certain trees down. I don't think we can get into that, but I was wondering if it would be possible to have a program of legacy trees, maybe if we could get some students to help identify them, and encourage people to be proud of good trees that they have on their property, and maybe they would be more inclined to take good care of them.
I mean, they could see them as neighborhood treasures or city treasures. And people could even report, like in their own neighborhoods, where they saw a tree and sort of nominate a tree, and then an urban forester could come out and check it out and see if it qualified, or
That's such a good idea, and I wonder, like, next time we get, there's a couple things that we could do to push that along. Lorraine McCosker has that environmental class, and so every quarter she has kids that have to do local environmental project, and that would be, let's plant that seed. And then Hawken College, all their environmental students are required to do some sort of public service, and every once in a while, somebody will, not very often, they'll call me up and they want to do a tree thing, but Keith Kittle is the guy that oversees that, and maybe if you guys, if somebody could write just a paragraph of your vision for that, I'd be happy to connect you with the OU contacts and the Hawken College contacts, and maybe we can get, maybe that's not the way you want to go with it, but if
Well, the thing that suddenly struck me then was that you could have a survey of notable trees. Yes, you should try and celebrate the really prominent ones. Someone like John Nouse actually knows many of the prominent trees in the town. But you want to try and, I think, broaden it out a little bit so you've got a database of these trees, similar to what we do we've been trying to do with a survey of trees. But that could be a separate project of trying to look for particular trees. I mean, the one I really like is that pin oak that's up on right in the middle of town, all by itself. I mean, I think that's a beautiful tree. And
my favorite tree
we should
in
try
all
and,
of my,
try and maintain it. And again, there's some rather nice examples along some of the streets in Athens as well. And some of them are in private property, and some of them are on city property. But again, I think, and again, that's some. I know that John Nouse did this a few years ago. He went around trying to identify all the different species of trees that we've got in in the town.
Is it on a website or?
I think he actually predated the web when he did it. I'm not sure it's actually on a website.
Wow, it'd be neat to kind of have that, as a link to the city's tree website and people,
Yeah.
So we
And
could
also
have
to
sort
see
of,
if they're still there,
Yeah.
those trees being that long ago.
Yeah.
so we could have sort of create a program of notable trees, and then maybe within those there might be some legacy trees, but you'd get more by having a notable tree.
And we might have to define that a little bit.
Sure.
I noticed in one of the links from those emails to City of Gainesville, they defined a legacy tree as 30-inch diameter and a certain circumference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could put particular dimensions in, and then put some additional words in the special interest or whatever, because there are small trees. I mean, nobody believes this, but there's a pawpaw tree down on Morris Avenue that's 30 feet high. And yet it's there. It really is there. It's very big.
Where is it?
It made it a state
I do know
champion.
where that. Yeah. Yeah, that was a state champion at one time.
It
that
was,
pawpaw.
okay.
Is it not anymore?
I don't know. I mean, but
It's
it
still
ought to be.
there. It was one that I was having trouble identifying, because to me, it didn't look like a little pawpaw tree.
No, it doesn't. It's a great big tree.
Big one.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. So I guess we have to find somebody that'd be willing to take that on, on our behalf.
Yes.
It would be a great.
Maybe one of our new recruits to the Tree Commission. That's have you received letters and CVs from the people that were interested?
Yeah, there's been I think an email sent to City Council regarding the prospective members.
We voted to approve.
Okay. I
thought there was just one person.
I don't know.
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah. as
Okay.
in-
Okay. Good.
Is there room for just one person or two?
No, there's two.
Two alternates.
Yeah.
So we still have room for another.
Yes. Yeah.
person.
We have five. I think it's 5 commissioners and 2 alternates.
Hey, Nancy Walker, who was an applicant,
She's the other one that we had in mind.
she actually registered to attend the Tree Commission Academy in Belpre. I was like, she's an A student.
Wow.
I mean, I thought that showed some commitment.
So
Because she knew she asked
I
if,
can send them-
since she's not one, she put a little note saying, am I allowed to come to this, even though I'm not on the Tree Commission?
I can send the mayor an email about her, because we have her information too.
Sure.
And we can do the same type of interaction with council. Okay.
That's fine. Let me know once that. I mean, I didn't know that Jeff had been approved, but I can
I
add him
think
to
we
the
can
mailing
get
list.
you his email and
Yeah.
invite him to next meeting.
Yeah, certainly. Yes.
Yeah,
certainly.
oh,
That's
what a
fine.
great.
Is there a form letter that we have that? I'm
Yes,
sure
there's
we
a,
do.
you send the
I'm sure.
the mayor or
I never.
it's either the mayor or the service safety director sends each of us a renewal when
Okay.
it when
The
it
mayor
comes
probably
up.
did it.
Yeah.
We have to tell these guys, they have to oversee the new legacy program, the Noteworthy Tree program, and what kind of computer skills do you have? No, just kidding.
Well, Jeff would be good for that.
Yeah, Jeff would. Okay.
We don't want to scare them off, though.
No, let him get settled in first.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my goodness, what good. That's cool.
Good. Any other items? If not, we've got the minutes of the last meeting, which I've circulated again.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any observations on the minutes before we approve them?
Yeah, Ron, I have a quick question about the banking of a tree, which the first time we approved it was last time, and we didn't have a price for the property owner on what it would cost to have the city plant that tree in the other location. Do we have that settled now?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't priced any trees this year yet, so I don't know what the average would be.
Okay, because that would be a nice thing to have in place at all times, maybe adjust it once a year. or-
Yeah, it should probably adjust once a year.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
I typically say $150 an inch.
Yeah,
That just-
the
Is that not enough?
the policy lays out
And that includes
what
labor.
the process is. I mean, basically, the service safety director's got to make a recommendation to council for a fee of this type, and then once council approves it, then the code office can use it. So those are the steps that we've got to go through.
It might be worthwhile calling a landscaper and asking, what the,
Yeah.
it used to be like $50 for labor plus
But,
150.
as I say, it's not up to us to decide. It's for Ron and his boss to work out what the...
Right now.
And once it's in place and you just have to adapt it once a year, I think it would be more efficient for when that comes up again.
Yes.
Because the property owner, I wanted to proceed and make the payment because the project is happening now. So just something to get in place.
But they wanted to know for their budget.
Yeah. Any other observations? Okay, so are there any objections to approving the minutes of the last meeting? Hearing none, we have minutes of the last meeting. The next meeting of the Tree Commission will be March 12th, 2015. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.